So, what really separates a good leader from a great one? It isn't just one single skill. It's actually a journey, a transformation. And this journey has these distinct stages of growth that shift your focus from me to we, and finally to us. So let's dive in and see what that evolution really looks like. The big idea from our source material is simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. Becoming an effective leader, well, it's not like flipping a switch. It's an evolution, this gradual and, let's be honest, often challenging process of, well, becoming. You can think about it just like how we all grow up. We start out as newborns, totally dependent. Then we become toddlers, learning to explore. Then we're teens, trying to figure out our identity. And finally, we're independent adults. Leadership growth, it follows a really similar path. Okay, so the analogy is helpful, for sure. But how does this journey from a newborn leader to a mature one actually play out when you're on the job? What does it look like in a real professional setting? When you boil it all down, the entire journey is about one fundamental shift in your perspective. It's all about moving your focus from me and your individual success to we and your team's success, and then ultimately to us, the success of the entire organization. And this brings up a really important but kind of subtle distinction. See, leader development is all about you, your individual skills, your personal competencies. But leadership development, that's about the collective. It's about putting the team and the organization's interests first. That journey from me to us is really the journey from one to the other. Luckily for us, there's a map for this journey. It comes from a framework put together by a couple of researchers, Day and Harrison. They identified 3 core identities that leaders develop over time. And this gives us a really solid structure to understand the whole process. And here they are, the 3 big stages. It all kicks off with the individualistic identity, which is all about me. Then it evolves into the relational identity, which focuses on the we of your immediate team. And finally, it matures into the collective identity, where your perspective expands to the entire us of the organization. Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this journey actually feel like, in the real world? Let's trace this exact path through one leader's career, a story that's shared in our source material. It starts when they're just 20 years old, in their first leadership role, and it unfolds over the next 25 years. All right, so at age 20, the focus is classic individualistic identity. It's all about completing your tasks, hitting your targets, and proving that you're competent. The leader's identity was completely tied to their own performance, and it kind of overshadowed the needs of their 2 direct reports. This is the me stage in its purest form. Fast forward 12 years, and boom, there's this huge shift into the relational identity. Now our leader is skilled at managing a small team. Their focus is on group dynamics, making sure everyone's working together. The perspective has clearly moved from me to we. But this new identity was about to get a major test. And this is just a perfect illustration of how each stage has its limits. The relational skills that worked like a charm for a close-knit team of 6, well, they just didn't scale to a complex cross-functional team of 22. And that struggle, that became the very thing that pushed them into the next stage of growth. Let's jump another 8 years into the future, and our leader has made the leap. They are now operating from a collective identity. They're able to manage other leaders, the department heads. Their perspective has totally broadened from just managing a team to orchestrating multiple teams for the good of the larger organization. And then, 5 years after that, the journey hits its peak. The leader is now managing the most senior leaders in the entire business. We're talking CEOs and directors. This shows a fully realized collective identity, where the focus is on the health and the strategy of the entire enterprise. The us is no longer just a department, it's a whole network of businesses. So what are the big lessons we can take away from this whole journey? First, leadership growth isn't a destination, it's a continuous expanding path. Second, each stage kind of ends when the skills you have just aren't enough for the new challenges you're facing. Third, the core of this whole thing is that shift in focus from me to we to us. And finally, this kind of development is forged in the fire of real-world experience, not just by reading a book. Okay, so now think about your own journey for a second. Where are you? Are you in that individualistic stage, really focused on proving yourself? Or maybe the relational stage, building your team? Or are you in the collective stage, thinking about the wider organization?
Just recognizing where you are right now, that's the first step to figuring out where you need to go next. This whole process of evolving your identity, of moving from me to we to us, it brings us to a really profound final question. It's a question about what leadership authenticity really is. Is a leader authentic because of the outcomes, the results they achieve on this journey of self-authoring? Or is authenticity found in the internal struggle itself, the growth process, no matter what the results are? It's a fascinating thing to chew on, what we truly value in our leaders. And I think it's a perfect place for us to end.